Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. The reflection in the mirror stared back, a blend of masculine and feminine features intertwined in a delicate dance. Tina adjusted the wig, smoothing down any stray hairs and ensuring it sat perfectly atop her head. With trembling fingers, she applied a coat of ruby red lipstick, the color bold against her pale skin. A deep breath escaped her lips as she took in the full picture. For a moment, everything felt right in the world. The illusion shattered as a car horn blared outside, jolting Tina back to reality. Work. She was going to be late if she didn't hurry. With practiced movements, she swapped the wig for a more subdued hairstyle and changed into a crisp button-down shirt and slacks. The transformation complete, Tina grabbed her keys and headed out the door. The drive to the office was a blur of traffic and talk radio. Tina found herself barely listening, her mind wandering to the upcoming weekend. There was a new boutique opening downtown that catered to people like her. The thought of being able to shop freely, without judgment, sent a thrill through her body. "Morning, Tim," called out a coworker as Tina stepped off the elevator. She plastered on a smile, suppressing the wince at hearing her dead name. "Morning, Dave. How was your weekend?" The exchange of pleasantries continued as Tina made her way to her cubicle, nodding and smiling at the right moments while her insides churned. It was exhausting, keeping up this facade day after day. Settling into her chair, Tina booted up her computer and dove into work. As a software developer, she could lose herself in lines of code, forgetting for a while about the constant internal struggle. Hours ticked by, punctuated only by the occasional coffee run or trip to the water cooler. It wasn't until her stomach growled loudly that Tina realized she'd worked straight through lunch. Glancing at the clock, she saw it was nearly 3. With a sigh, she saved her work and stood, stretching out the kinks in her back. "Heading out for a late lunch," she called to no one in particular as she grabbed her wallet and phone. The cafe across the street was bustling with the afternoon crowd, but Tina managed to snag a small table in the corner. As she waited for her order, her gaze drifted to a group of women chatting animatedly at a nearby table. They looked so carefree, so comfortable in their own skin. Tina felt a pang of envy, quickly followed by a wave of shame. It wasn't their fault she felt this way. "Turkey club and iced tea?" The server's voice snapped Tina out of her reverie. "Yes, thank you." As she ate, Tina found herself people-watching, imagining what their lives might be like. Did any of them struggle with their identity the way she did? Or were they all perfectly content with the bodies they were born into? The remainder of the workday passed in a haze of meetings and code reviews. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, Tina was more than ready to head home. Traffic was mercifully light, and she made it back to her apartment in record time. As soon as the door closed behind her, Tina felt the tension begin to ebb from her shoulders. Here, in the safety of her own space, she could truly be herself. Without hesitation, she shrugged off the constricting male attire and slipped into a comfortable dress. The wig came next, followed by a light application of makeup. Tina gazed at her reflection, a soft smile playing on her lips. This was who she really was, who she longed to be all the time. The chirping of her phone interrupted the moment. A text from her best friend Lily lit up the screen. "Hey girl, don't forget about our shopping date this weekend. Can't wait to see you." Tina's smile widened as she typed out a reply. Lily had been her rock through this journey, accepting her without question when Tina had finally worked up the courage to come out. The rest of the evening passed in a comfortable routine. Tina prepared a simple dinner, caught up on her favorite TV shows, and spent some time browsing online clothing stores. As she crawled into bed that night, Tina felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety about the weekend ahead. Shopping as her true self was still a relatively new experience, filled with both excitement and fear. Saturday dawned bright and clear. Tina took her time getting ready, wanting everything to be perfect. She chose a floral sundress, pairing it with comfortable sandals and a wide-brimmed hat. The drive downtown was nerve-wracking. Every red light felt like an eternity as Tina worried about being clocked by other drivers. Finally, she arrived at the boutique. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out of the car and made her way to the entrance. A bell chimed softly as she pushed open the door. The interior was warm and inviting, with racks of clothing in all sizes and styles. "Welcome to Chrysalis," called out a cheerful voice. A woman with brightly colored hair approached, her smile genuine and welcoming. "I'm Zoe. Is there anything I can help you find today?" Tina felt her nervousness begin to fade. "I'm just browsing for now, thank you." Zoe nodded. "Of course. Take your time, and please let me know if you need anything at all." As Tina began to explore the store, she couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging. Here were clothes designed with people like her in mind, no more awkwardly trying to gauge if something would fit or if it would accentuate the wrong areas. She was so engrossed in examining a particularly lovely blouse that she didn't notice someone approach until a familiar voice called out, "Tina, you made it!" Turning, Tina found herself face to face with Lily. The two friends embraced, Lily's enthusiasm infectious. "This place is amazing," Tina said as they parted. "I can't believe I've never been here before." Lily grinned. "I told you you'd love it. Now come on, let's find you something fabulous." The next hour flew by in a whirlwind of trying on clothes and laughter. Tina couldn't remember the last time she'd had so much fun shopping. As they made their way to the checkout counter, arms laden with purchases, Lily nudged Tina gently. "So, any luck in the dating department lately?" Tina felt her cheeks flush. "Not really. It's complicated." Lily's expression softened. "I know it is, honey. But you deserve to be happy. Have you thought about trying one of those dating apps?" The idea sent a jolt of fear through Tina. "I don't know, Lily. What if someone recognizes me? Or worse, what if I match with someone and they react badly when I tell them about me? Then they're not worth your time," Lily said firmly. "Look, I'm not saying it'll be easy, but you can't hide away forever. Promise me you'll at least think about it?" Tina nodded, not trusting herself to speak. The thought of putting herself out there was terrifying, but a small part of her longed for companionship. After saying goodbye to Lily, Tina decided to treat herself to lunch at a nearby cafe. As she settled into a corner table, she couldn't help but notice the curious glances from other patrons. Were they just being nosy, or had they clocked her? The anxiety began to creep back in, threatening to ruin what had been a wonderful morning. Tina forced herself to take deep breaths, focusing on the menu in front of her instead of the imagined judgment of strangers. She was here, she was valid, and she had every right to enjoy her meal in peace. The waiter approached, a kind smile on his face. "What can I get for you today, miss?" The simple act of being addressed correctly nearly brought tears to Tina's eyes. "I'll have the Cobb salad, please, and an iced tea." As she waited for her food, Tina found herself people-watching once again. This time, however, she tried to see herself through their eyes. Did they see a woman enjoying a quiet lunch, or did they see something else entirely? The salad arrived looking fresh and delicious. As Tina ate, she allowed herself to relax, pushing aside the doubts and fears that constantly plagued her. For now, in this moment, she was just another person going about their day, and that felt pretty damn good. The rest of the weekend passed in a blur of small victories and quiet moments of self-discovery. Tina wore her new clothes around the apartment, reveling in how right they felt. She even worked up the courage to step out onto her balcony, enjoying the sunshine in a way she never had before. The fear of being seen was still there, but it was overshadowed by the joy of simply being herself. As Sunday evening rolled around, Tina found herself dreading the return to work. The thought of donning male attire and answering to a name that no longer felt like hers was almost physically painful. With a heavy heart, she packed away her feminine clothes and removed her makeup. The face that stared back at her from the mirror felt like a stranger. Monday morning arrived far too soon. Tina dragged herself through her morning routine, each action feeling like a betrayal of her true self. The drive to work was tense, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. As she pulled into the parking lot, Tina allowed herself one last moment of truth. "You are valid," she whispered to her reflection in the rearview mirror. "You are strong. You can do this." Taking a deep breath, she stepped out of the car and made her way into the office building. The day passed in a fog of meetings and coding sessions. Tina found it increasingly difficult to focus, her mind constantly drifting to thoughts of her true self. It wasn't until late afternoon that something broke through the haze. A new project was being assigned, and the team lead was reading out names. "And lastly, we'll need someone to handle the user interface design. Tim, how about you take that on?" Tina felt something snap inside her. Before she could stop herself, the words tumbled out. "Actually, I prefer Tina." The room fell silent. Tina's heart pounded in her chest as she realized what she'd done. There was no taking it back now. The team lead blinked, clearly caught off guard. "I'm sorry, what?" Tina swallowed hard, gathering every ounce of courage she possessed. "My name is Tina. I'm transgender, and I'd appreciate it if you could use she, her pronouns when referring to me." The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity. Tina could feel the eyes of her coworkers boring into her, their expressions a mix of shock, confusion, and, in some cases, understanding. Finally, the team lead cleared his throat. "I see. Well, Tina, thank you for sharing that with us. We'll certainly do our best to respect your wishes. Now, about that user interface design." The meeting continued, but Tina barely heard a word. Her mind was reeling from what she'd just done. Years of hiding, of pretending, and she'd just blown it all wide open in a moment of frustration. As the team filed out of the conference room, Tina remained rooted to her seat. What would happen now? Would she face discrimination? Lose her job? A gentle touch on her shoulder made her jump. Looking up, she found Dave, the coworker who had greeted her that fateful morning, standing beside her.
"Hey," he said softly. "I just wanted to say that was really brave what you did in there. And I want you to know that I've got your back, okay?"
Tears pricked at Tina's eyes as she nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Dave gave her shoulder a gentle squeeze before heading out, leaving Tina alone with her thoughts. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Word spread quickly through the office, and Tina found herself on the receiving end of curious glances and whispered conversations. By the time she made it home, Tina was emotionally exhausted. She collapsed onto her couch, still dressed in her work clothes, and let the tears flow freely. It wasn't until her phone chimed with a text that she stirred. Wiping her eyes, she looked at the screen to see a message from Lily.
"Heard what happened at work. You okay? Want me to come over?"
Tina hesitated for a moment before replying. "Yes, please." 20 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Tina opened it to find Lily standing there, arms laden with takeout bags and a bottle of wine. "Figured you could use some comfort food," Lily said with a smile. As they sat on the couch, sharing cartons of Chinese food and sipping wine, Tina recounted the events of the day. "I don't know what came over me," she admitted. "I just couldn't take it anymore, you know? Hearing that name, pretending to be someone I'm not." Lily nodded sympathetically. "I get it. And for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. This is a huge step, Tina. But what if I lose my job? What if people start treating me differently?" "Then we'll deal with it," Lily said firmly. "You've got me, and I'm sure there are others who will support you too. You don't have to face this alone." As the evening wore on, Tina felt some of the tension begin to ease. Lily's unwavering support and the warmth of friendship helped to soothe her frayed nerves. Before she left, Lily pulled Tina into a tight hug. "Remember, you're amazing just the way you are. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." The next morning, Tina stood in front of her closet, facing a decision. After a moment's hesitation, she reached for a blouse and skirt. If she was going to be out at work, she might as well be true to herself. The drive to the office was nerve-wracking, but Tina forced herself to keep going. As she walked through the doors, she held her head high, ignoring the startled looks from her coworkers. To her surprise, the day passed without major incident. There were a few awkward moments and some stumbling over pronouns, but overall, people seemed to be making an effort to be respectful. As she was packing up to leave, her boss stopped by her desk. "Tina, do you have a moment?" Heart racing, Tina nodded and followed him to his office.
I wanted to talk to you about yesterday, he began. First, I want to apologize if we've ever made you feel uncomfortable or unable to be yourself at work. That was never our intention. Tina nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Secondly, I want you to know that your job is not in jeopardy. We value your work here, and your gender identity doesn't change that. We'll be arranging some sensitivity training for the team to ensure everyone understands how to create an inclusive environment. Relief washed over Tina.
"Thank you," she managed to say. "That means a lot to me." As she left the office that day, Tina felt a weight lift from her shoulders. There would still be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful about the future. Her coworkers, for the most part, made an effort to use her correct name and pronouns. There were slip-ups, of course, but the genuine attempts to get it right meant more to Tina than she could express. The sensitivity training her boss had promised took place, and while some of her colleagues seemed uncomfortable at first, it opened up important conversations about inclusivity in the workplace. Dave, true to his word, became a staunch ally. He made a point of correcting others when they misgendered Tina and often invited her to join him and other coworkers for lunch. "How are you holding up?" he asked one afternoon as they sat in the break room. Tina stirred her coffee thoughtfully. "It's a process, but honestly, I feel more like myself than I have in years." Dave nodded, his expression serious. "I'm glad to hear that.
And I hope you know that if anyone gives you trouble, you can come to me."
The support from unexpected quarters helped buoy Tina's spirits on days when the stares and whispers became too much to bear. At home, Tina threw herself into exploring her identity. She experimented with different styles of clothing and makeup, slowly building a wardrobe that felt truly hers. Lily was a constant presence, offering encouragement and practical advice. They spent many evenings together, laughing over failed attempts at winged eyeliner and celebrating small victories. "You're getting really good at this," Lily remarked one night as Tina showed off a particularly successful makeup look. Tina beamed, studying her reflection. "It's amazing how much easier it is when you're not trying to hide in the bathroom every 5 minutes." The dating app Tina had downloaded sat mostly unused on her phone. While she was curious about putting herself out there, the thought of actually meeting someone still filled her with anxiety. It wasn't until a quiet Sunday afternoon that Tina finally worked up the courage to start swiping. She'd been upfront in her profile about being transgender, hoping to weed out anyone who might react negatively. To her surprise, she matched with several people who seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. One in particular, a woman named Megan, caught her attention. Their conversations flowed easily, covering topics from favorite books to dream travel destinations. Megan was respectful and never made Tina feel like her trans identity was a point of fixation. After a week of chatting, Megan suggested they meet for coffee. Tina's finger hovered over the reply button, her heart racing. "You've got this," she whispered to herself, channeling Lily's unwavering support. With a deep breath, she typed out her response. "I'd love to. How about Saturday at 2? The days leading up to their coffee date were a mix of excitement and nerves." Tina changed her outfit no less than 5 times the morning of, finally settling on a casual but feminine ensemble that made her feel confident. As she approached the cafe, Tina spotted Megan waiting outside. Their eyes met, and Megan's face lit up with a warm smile. "Tina, it's so nice to finally meet you in person." The tension in Tina's shoulders began to ease. They found a table and fell into easy conversation, the nervousness fading with each passing minute. "I have to admit," Megan said as they were finishing their drinks, "I was a little nervous about today. I've never been on a date with a trans woman before, and I was worried about saying the wrong thing." Tina appreciated her honesty. I was nervous too, but I'm really glad we did this. As they parted ways, plans already made for a second date, Tina felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could have this part of life too. The following Monday at work, Tina practically floated into the office. Her good mood was noticed by her colleagues, with several commenting on her bright smile. "Someone's chipper this morning," Dave remarked as he stopped by her desk. Tina couldn't help but grin. "I had a really good weekend." As the weeks turned into months, Tina found herself settling into a new normal. There were still difficult days, moments when the weight of being different felt overwhelming. But there were also days filled with laughter, love, and a sense of belonging she'd never experienced before. Her relationship with Megan blossomed, moving from coffee dates to dinners, movies, and quiet evenings spent together. Megan's unwavering support and genuine interest in understanding Tina's experiences helped heal old wounds. At work, Tina's confidence grew. She threw herself into projects with renewed energy, her creativity flourishing now that she wasn't constantly expending energy on hiding her true self. Her boss took notice, pulling her aside after a particularly successful presentation. "I just wanted to say, Tina, that your work lately has been exceptional. We're lucky to have you on the team." The compliment brought tears to Tina's eyes. "Thank you.
That means more than you know."
As summer turned to fall, Tina found herself reflecting on how much her life had changed in just a few short months. The person she'd been at the beginning of the year, hiding behind ill-fitting clothes and a name that never felt right, seemed like a distant memory. One crisp October evening, as she and Megan strolled hand in hand through a park ablaze with autumn colors, Tina felt a sense of peace wash over her. "What are you thinking about?" Megan asked, noticing her contemplative expression. Tina squeezed her hand gently. "Just how grateful I am. For you, for my friends, for finally being able to be myself." Megan pulled her close, pressing a soft kiss to her temple. "I'm grateful for you too. You're an amazing woman, Tina." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.